Hello and welcome to this North Green video about hacking JWT tokens by using the none signature algorithm. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can gain access to areas of an application that you are restricted from by modifying a JWT token to use the none algorithm. So first, let's take a look at this website in front of us. We have the ability to create an account, so let's do that. I'm going to create a simple account called Dan1, and I'm going to log in to the website. Now we can see when we log in that we can get to a landing page, and we've got a couple of different buttons available to us. If we try and go to the admin area, we get this error, requires an elevated role. And this is because the application understands that we are not an administrator and that we are in fact a user. Now there are lots of different ways that applications can do this, but this one is using JWTs. How do we know that? If we right click and go to inspect, we can look at the cookies and the tokens available on this site. We can see this is our cookie for this website. I'm just going to put it into a notepad document so it's bigger for you guys to be able to see. This is the structure of a JWT token. Okay, a JWT token is a JSON Web Token. It consists of a header, a payload, and a signature. Whenever you see data followed by a dot, followed by data, followed by a dot, followed by data being used as a cookie or a token of some sort, you should be thinking this is potentially a JWT. Now, while this looks like we can't understand it, this is actually just basic base64 encoded data. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this, and we're going to simply open up Burp and take a look at the decoder. Okay, so if I paste this in here, make sure that it's decoding as base64, I'll put it as text, and I'm going to just move this back into this bigger font notepad document. So what we can see is that our header is turning around and saying this is a JWT token, and it is using the HS256 algorithm to create the signature. We have our payload data here. This will vary from website to website. Any web developer using JSON Web Tokens can put whatever kind of data that they want in their JWT tokens in their payloads. I've seen some websites that include the user name, the user email address, the user profile, the user permissions. There is no limit to the amount of data that developers can choose to put in here. But for this website, we can see key information is that we have a user, Dan1, that's the user I created, and a role of user. We then have this data at the end. This is our signature. This is used to verify that data has not been manipulated and modified by an attacker. So if I try and turn around and say, well, I'm going to change this from user to admin, this will fail because the signature will be able to be used to identify that the token has been modified in transit. The signature won't match the data in here. So let's do that. I'm going to just make a note for myself that this is a legitimate token. And we're going to create a modified token down here. Now I'm going to take the payload, because that's what I would like to change. And I'm going to change this user to admin and encode with base64. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that. Let's just check that's correct. Did it change? No, good. Okay. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it in here in my modified token. And if I try and use this, what's going to happen is I can just overwrite this token in my browser, and I can try and go to the admin controls. And I see that this fails, like I said it would. Now, the reason this fails is because that signature is incorrect now. If we have a think about what's going on, we've got a token broken down into 3 sections: the header, the payload, and the signature. Now, if we modify that payload, the signature is no longer accurate. But what we can think of is, what happens if we just delete the signature? Can we try and do that to make sure that it's no longer showing that we have a token that is not valid? Let's give that a go and see whether or not that works. So we are going to go back to our token area, and what we're going to do is we're going to just paste in the header and the payload. Take note that I am copying this bullet point here. That is because without that, it's not possible for the server to understand that the token has finished. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's just copy that again, just make sure it's got the right data. We're going to try and go to admin controls again. And once more, we get that we're not authorized to view this page. Now, I'm just going to bring up that colorful graphic to see if you can spot why we've got this problem. If you can, great. If you can't, it's because of this here. We have in the header of our token something saying, I am going to use this specific algorithm to generate a signature. So when we just remove the signature, well, the token is incorrect because the server knows that it should get one. What we can do is we can turn around and say, right, this doesn't work. Let's take the header from our legitimate token, and we're going to modify this to say, I don't want any algorithm here. I'm going to encode that with base 64, and I'm going to take that for the first part of my token. Now you'll note that I did not copy this equals symbol. Base 64 uses equals for padding. We don't copy that when we're creating or manipulating JWT tokens. We don't ever copy the equals. It will screw up your token. I'm going to take my payload now. I'm going to say that I would like Dan1 to be an admin. Again, I'm going to base 64 encode that. I put my bullet point in there to make sure that the application understands this is broken into 3 sections. But this time, our signature section is blank, and it is blank for a reason. We are using the none signature. So now, if I go back and I turn around and say, okay, this is the token I would like to use. I'm using no signing algorithm. I am an admin. Have a header and a payload and no signature. We can see that this time I get to the admin dashboard. I can now go through the application as an administrator because my new token is saying that, let's move this down here to show you what it's saying. My new token is saying that I am using the none algorithm. That means I do not have to have a signature, and it is saying that the Dan1 user has a role of an admin, whereas our legitimate token was saying that I'm using this signing algorithm, that this is my payload, Dan as a user, and that I need a signature. We can see we can now navigate through the application as an administrator. Okay, thanks for watching. That is how you can modify JWT tokens to use the none signing algorithm to be able to gain access to areas that you shouldn't be able to get to. I hope it was useful. I hope you learned something. Keep watching for more videos.